Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here at BSX in 2022, and I'm very much looking forward to the outcomes of the conference. I was the Minister for Defence Industry in Australia, also the Minister for Defence, and the Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science when Australia initiated plans for the Australian Space Agency, which of course I note is one of the partner governments of the conference. Australia has a long history of international collaboration in space. In fact, we were the third country to put a rocket into space in 1967 alongside Great Britain, following the Soviet Union and the United States. But after 1967, Australia seemed to lose interest in collaborating internationally and in its space program. And for the several decades after that, while we produced very high quality scientists and engineers in the space sector and contributed to other people's programs, particularly the United States, who is our great ally, we didn't initiate our own space program until very recently. So what's changed in the last 5 to 10 years? A few things, all of them necessary ingredients in delivering policy change in a significant area. First, Australia decided that we needed to have our own sovereign capabilities in space, similar to India, the United Arab Emirates, and other countries that had already achieved that. We did that not because we wanted to move away from our alliance with the United States, but because in concert with them, we wanted to enhance our capability and our contribution internationally. So a decision to invest in our own sovereignty was the first important decision. Secondly, we put money behind that decision. So billions of dollars that previously we would have been happy to purchase French and American space capabilities in communications or defence and other areas, we decided to spend in our own economy, similar again to India. So a $10 billion commitment in the defence budget over the next 10 years on space alone in 2015-16, and that has been added to ever since then. There was a significant policy change in the government, which was to support our space industry, and that led to the establishment of the Australian Space Agency in 2018 after I'd left the portfolio, and the establishment of the Australian Space Agency, one of the last of the developed countries to have their own space agency, has then led to a whole investment in things like a mission control centre, discovery centre, a space and defence hub in Adelaide at a place called Lot 14 in the Central Business District, nurturing startups, corporations, primes in their space programs in Australia, launch capabilities in Northern Australia, Southern Australia and on the East Coast, and potentially in the future on the West Coast. We also decided to collaborate internationally with a number of countries and signed new agreements with CNES, Canada, the UK, the United Arab Emirates, and now more recently a deep engagement with NASA on many of their programs, and with the European Space Agency, and with many more to come. As this is a forum about international collaboration, it's probably important to discuss what makes space conducive to international collaboration. And I think there are a few key elements. The first is that the space programs are driven by scientists and engineers. And at their very core, scientists and engineers want to discover what they don't know and contribute to the society around them and the world in which they live. They're much less concerned about politics, and they know that they don't have all the knowledge in their own mind that they require to deliver an outcome. So scientists and engineers therefore collaborate naturally with each other, and that leads to collaboration across international boundaries when they discover someone else in another part of the world has a piece of the jigsaw puzzle that if they fit into the jigsaw that they've created themselves, they might be able to get an outcome. So they note that they need to share capability and knowledge. The other really important aspect to the international side of space is that all the issues are global. Climate change, the management of water and natural disasters, things like food production, feeding the 7 to 8 billion people that now exist on the planet, communications, which is obviously not local but global, and medicine and health, and all the different applications through experimentation in space that can improve the standard of living, the health outcomes of human beings here on the globe. So the issues are global, and the people involved in the industry are not hidebound by their own belief that they know everything about the subject. And space is an area where, like Antarctica, which is both are largely undiscovered, is an area where we can lead by example in the peaceful applications and the peaceful uses of the resources of places like Antarctica and in space. And Antarctica gives us an example of how countries as diverse as China, Russia, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, Great Britain, France, all the other nations that are involved in Antarctica have cooperated. And the infrastructure is also available already through the UN COPUS committee for that kind of collaboration internationally. So we can learn from the history of where we've been, where we've made mistakes in exploration of our globe in the past, over the last many centuries, because space is largely undiscovered. And so the example of what's gone before can be used as the foundation for a much better collusion between countries in the future. Australia as a country is very responsible to have international collaboration and work together. We are a G20 country, a middle power, and we come to the table as an honest broker between some of the bigger players. And so we would like to play our part in Australia, which is one of the reasons that we are here as a supporter of this expo, in bringing about that kind of international collaboration. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today.